guys, welcome back.
Welcome back, welcome back.
We have a really fun episode that's really, really important. It's all about mediumship and the number one cause that can really break down your confidence in your mediumship and actually change the way that you do readings, change the way that you show up in your mission and your business. And we're going to break it down. This is such a big topic that we've spoke about in the past with students. We've dealt with it. Even with me, I've dealt with it when I first started. And one of the biggest things is telling the same story over and over again. Maybe you're not on the right level, or what if you're not the expert, or whatever it may be. There's so many things that we can tell ourselves as mediums. And even when you're coaching different clients of ours, you've heard some stories too.
Yeah, the stories keep coming up over and over. So think about it right now. So, have you had moments to where you felt confident in your mediumship? What does that feel like in your body, with your mind, the way that you're thinking? Like, what's the story that you're telling, and the mind movie that's coming over your head through your being as you're in this space of confidence? It's a lot different than when you think about the times where you don't feel confident. So there's a huge difference there. And like Lindsay was saying, we've heard story after story of people who are consistently taking action in their mediumship, and they're like, my confidence just is not, it's not going up, right? So I don't know what's going on. I'm taking action. And then we've heard stories of people who kind of like, I guess they'll appear more confident because they
Mm-hmm.
haven't took the action.
Taken, yeah.
So if once you start to take action, it starts to humble you, and you start to find out what it's really like being out there as a medium. So you have two of these that are playing. You have on one side the person taking action, but then they keep telling this story like they're a beginner still, or like uh, from that space of when they first started doing mediumship. And
Right.
they're telling the same story. They can't get out of that. So they'll go and they'll have a breakthrough. They'll give powerful mediumship readings, and then they're back in their head again. They're back telling that story. Or you have the other person who is kind of, we'll call it naive, like overly confident in a way, we'll say. And it's because they haven't put in enough action. So
Right.
it's really interesting here how you can see the spectrum, how it could go from each side.
Yeah, and this is all the time. This is something that's happening constantly with mediumship, and there's so many different classes out there, and there's so many different circles out there, but this is the main problem that can actually cause you to kind of either plateau for a short amount of time and then you go down. You never stay at the plateau. You always go down if you're not making improvements to move up.
Yeah, exactly. So with me with sports, the way that I got confident is I was playing basketball over and over. Like I practiced every single day. I had coaches around me, and they were critiquing me, and I was accepting it over time. Maybe not right away, but over time, over
Yeah.
years. And after getting results, getting the coaching, noticing my story started to change. So like at the beginning when I was playing basketball, I can remember saying like, I just started. Like the first year I played basketball, we lost. I think our team went like 2-10,
Mm-hmm.
and I would cry like halfway through the game when we were losing. I would start crying. I was like 6 years old, right? Like I was low confidence, no confidence. That next year I became the best player in the league. So it was a huge transition from like 6 to 7 years old, and it was because I was consistently playing every day. One, I had coaches around me, I had people around me that were either critiquing me or giving me praise, like, telling me the truth, like, where are you really?
Yeah.
And if I would come up and I would say something that's not true, whether it's like maybe I was downplaying myself or I was upplaying myself, the coaches would call you out. So then that naturally started to shift my story over time. And
Right.
then obviously you keep repeating this cycle, and then there's levels to this, right? There's levels to confidence. A professional medium or professional athlete, they have a certain confidence level right now. Next year it could be even higher. Why? Because there's infinite potential. So no matter if you're a beginner or if you're an expert, just remember like your confidence can go up and down, and there's a few factors that play here, right? And some of them you're starting to see with some of the stories we're sharing here and some of the information we're sharing.
And it's making me think of when I first started waitressing. I was so nervous to waitress. For me, I would rather be in the background and not be going up to tables and it was always so uncomfortable for me. Like I've a friend, we know someone that was really good at Outback and she was so natural. And it's funny because I remember saying to her, I'm like, I don't know how you do it. It's like she didn't miss a beat. She knew exactly when to go to the table at the right time. How much conversation do you have? For me, it was very awkward. It's almost like socializing at certain points. It's like, how much do you say? How many questions do you ask? Um, and I remember thinking when I was waitressing that I don't even know if I'm going to remember everything. I don't know how much to talk to them and what to say. So 3 months went by, and I remember the cooks telling me in the back, they said, Lindsay, if you ever mess up on an order, just tell them the kitchen is backed up or there's something going on with the kitchen, like the kitchen made an error. I'm like, okay. Well, I kept saying, I'm brand new. I would say it over and over again. The reason I said I was brand new 3 months in, even though I had been there for 3 months, was because I was afraid that if it didn't look right or I wasn't perfect enough with waitressing, at least I had that in the background to say, I'm brand new and, I'm still learning. And I remember one guy said, I thought I saw you here last month. And I'm like, well, yeah, but I'm a few months.
I'm
It's
still
still,
new,
I'm
new.
still new. So I think that we could easily do that with anything that we're learning if we're afraid to fail. And that's the big thing is to think about this. If you are someone that constantly makes the excuse saying, I'm new at the psychic development, I'm new at the mediumship development, it goes back to being afraid to fail. And you have that safety net to say, well, I'm brand new. Because that's what I think of. I think of when I was the waitress.
Yeah, and it's the difference between like wanting to be authentic, like right, we want to be authentic, we want to say how we really feel, and understanding the power of words.
Yeah.
The power of words, like what you say out loud, creates this powerful energy just for you to be able to speak. So much like mechanical wiring and all of this, we'll call it computerized stuff inside of us, must work in order for us to produce language. So we're bringing all of our focus and our energy and our intention to create these specific words that put a spell on us. So we got to remember that the difference between being authentic and the difference between intentionally creating what you're creating. So if you want to become a powerful medium, yeah, there's a time to where we just meet you and you're owning it. You're like, look, I'm new at this, blah, blah, blah. This is where I'm at. It's powerful to own where you're at. And then there's a time to where you're intentionally creating yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing that vision inside of who you actually are inside, and you're allowing yourself to become it through your words. Because, like I said, it takes so much energy to create words. Energy creates, and through your actions. And we can't forget it's the two. It's not just actions, it's like network marketing. You have people with the same product, same service, same marketing plan in the same city and getting way different results. Why is that? It's because exactly what we're talking about here. It's
Mm-hmm.
the energy, it's the intention that you're doing it with. And some people, they'll stay in that story from years ago and they'll keep telling it because they think they're being authentic, and in all reality, they're putting a spell on their life. And really, the authentic way to be is okay, I'm owning where I'm at, but I'm also being authentic with who I am inside. I got to speak with who I am, the deepest part of me inside, because that's real too. That's true too. And when I start to figure that out, now when I say this out loud, I don't feel like a phony. I don't feel like an imposter. I'm speaking the fucking truth because I know who I am.
Mm-hmm. And what you're sharing, it's reminding me of something that just happened a couple weeks ago. I taught a intuition. Tony, you know this. I'm telling them intuition and connecting with past loved ones workshop, and I actually brought these rods, these little inner
Whoa.
these energy meters, and I tried it with some other mediums at a workshop, and I brought this to well, I can't. We didn't set an intention, but I guess it's moving. The energy rods start moving with energy, right? So I had a girl stand up, a student stand up in class, and I had her walk towards me, and I told her to think about something that made her really, really happy, and she thought about her child. And I'm sure she was nervous too because she had to be up in front of the class. She volunteered, but she did it. And she was walking towards, and you could tell where her aura was, how far out her energy field was when she did and didn't think about her child. But what I had her do to kind of raise up the energy a little bit more, I said, now I want you to tell us, what were you thinking about your kid? And I forget what she said, but I said, I want you to repeat that out loud. Now walk towards me. And her aura pushed out even more. And the reason I'm sharing that story is because when we speak, like you had just said, when we're speaking, we're using our words, it's actually affecting our energy field. It's actually imprinting it even more, what we're saying. So when I talk to my mediumship students before they do a reading, I say, do not tell the person you're practicing with, I'm really bad at names, so I probably won't get names, but I'm really good at this, so this is what I'm getting. You're putting it out there.
Yeah.
It is like a spell, you know. It's like you're putting out the language and you're saying that's exactly what's going to happen. So the importance is being very clear on what you do want, not being fake about, I'm really great at names when you're really not. You don't have to say that right before the reading.
It's finding the sweet spot.
But yeah, being right in the middle of deciding, like, okay, I'm going to be in a healthy way. I'm going to list out everything that I know I need to work on, and I'm going to reflect on it in a really powerful way. And the way that I know about this is because there were probably, I don't know how many events I did where I would come back from my event and Tony would be there. He would be supporting, be in the audience. And I would say, oh, I wish I got this part of the reading. I wish I could have got more detailed. And I remember you saying, like, Lindsay, did you miss everything that you did do? And I'm like, well, it could have been better. And I would beat myself up, and it would take over that energy over the
Ineffective
weekend.
reflection.
It was not effective. So now when I reflect, I'm like, okay, I could do this differently, but I'm going to share the celebrations. And that's exactly what we do in Unlock Your Inner Medium. There's a balance between celebrations, and even in our mediumship membership, Mediumship Mastery Circle, we celebrate and we say how we can improve. We're not going into victim mode and talking about how, oh, I'm so horrible and this is never going to work for me. I'm not cut out for this. I'm not on the right level. It's like, no, we're tweaking our thinking and we're retraining our brain and rewiring ourselves to know that we can do this. Anyone can do what you see any other medium do. It's the mindset. It's really about the mindset, sometimes even more than the actual skill.
That's what I'm thinking as you're saying that.
Yeah.
Because thinking about our group and Unlock Your Inner Medium
Yeah.
that comes through, that's what it is. You could practice all the time, right? And that's, to me, it's easier to do than seeing yourself for who you really are, which is like the 80%. This plays in anything. Like if you have a business, it's 80% mindset, 20% skill.
Mhm.
Mediumship, 80% mindset, 20% skill. So when we're looking at that mindset piece, I even notice in our mentorship program, it's very challenging for people. It's challenging for me. It's challenging for you to look at who we really are, our programming, what limiting beliefs we have, what mental blocks we have, the dark side of ourselves, the side of ourselves that's holding us back from doing the thing that we want to do. It's very scary and painful to look at it at first. Once you start to do it over and over, you get excited to do it because you see the powerful results that happen. Like people that are in our program, the people that play full out and look at that 80%, those are the ones that at the end of the program, they're like, my confidence is through the roof. And we say,
Yeah.
why? Why is your confidence through the roof? They're like, because I'm doing 90 readings in 5 months. Because I'm with a group of like-minded people
And they're
that
shifting
support
the
me.
mindset.
Because I'm shifting my story around who I am. Because the old limiting story that I used to hear of, oh, I'm not enough, I'm a beginner. I heard other people say that in the group and I saw a reflection of myself. And I was like, shit, that's low energy. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to be like that. And this isn't shaming people. This is why we all come together. We do the same thing. We join other programs and we get mentored so we could see our blind spots because people become a mirror to you. When you're
Mm-hmm.
with like minded people, it's a mirror and you start to see what's really holding you back. Sometimes you think it's because I need to keep sharpening my mediumship skills and do a million mediumship readings. When in all reality, for you, it may be you're just not looking at that 80% piece. You're not
Right.
looking at the mindset piece. We need all of it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we need support. And we resist support as healers and coaches and mediums. We often resist receiving support ourselves, which helps us see that 80%. And once we accept that support, our readings and our impact on our people and our clients starts to go through the roof.
Yeah.
That's what we've seen over and over, working with thousands of mediums.
And the one thing that we recognize too is when we're working with mediums, when you go back and you go back in time with each medium's life, it never has to do with mediumship. It has everything to do with core core beliefs, like that inner root feeling of not feeling enough. So it really has nothing to do with mediumship. Mediumship is always the mirror for yourself, for your internal resistance. So I always ask our students when we talk about this, um, in even mediumship mastery circle, did something come up before you did mediumship? Did you feel like this at your last job, like you weren't good enough at the very beginning? Did you find yourself getting stuck in your story then? They're like, actually, yeah. Like, this isn't a mediumship problem. That's an internal thing that you're working through to really, put the light on. Mediumship just really hones in on what's going on internally. That's why mediumship, once you get into mediumship or any kind of development, like whether it's a business or it's mediumship, it's intuitive work or coaching, any kind of work like that that deals with mindset, you're going to see the truth of who you are and it's going to help you evolve even faster. That's why
Yes.
when people leave, they're like, my whole life has changed on so many levels from going through this program. I didn't even know my life would look different like this. Like, I can't believe how much has changed. It's because you're going inward. It's not just about the skills.
Yes. And we have
So,
we have two patterns on that too with that going inward. Because that's what happens is people start to go inward and really dive deep and really see what's really there. They start to see and get to know that dark side of themselves. Some people get upset.
yeah.
I was those people at first. Like the more I would discover, like, wait, that's in me too. That limiting belief, that part of myself, it'd make me upset. And then I reverse the story. And some people in our programs, they when they discover more about themselves, they get excited.
Yeah.
It's another story because it means I'm growing. When I'm learning more about myself, whether I'm finding something negative or positive about it, it means I'm becoming more self-aware. Yeah, it can feel heavy at first, but this is like finding gold. This is exciting compared to, oh man, I just discovered that I have this part of me in myself, right? Like I fear rejection, I feel angry,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm not enough, I feel like whatever it may be for you, and then it's a difference. So it's like, what story are you gonna tell? You're gonna be like, I'm finding gold inside myself when I find the negatives and positives about me, when I start to increase my self awareness. Or is it a sad thing? Those two are going to determine how confident you become in your mediumship and how impactful your readings are with your clients or the people around you.
And you have to be aware that when you're going through coaching or you're going through, mediumship classes, really becoming aware of, if you really want to get the most results, you have to be around leaders that are going to guide you and kind of push you in the direction of seeing it for yourself. Because sometimes it's easy to kind of step back and think, oh, I feel like I'm just not good enough or I'm being critiqued. You're meant to be critiqued. If you're in a class, you're going to want that. You want to look for that in a teacher. And I will say one thing that I absolutely love about my mentor that I will always bring up is Mavis. She was excellent at critiquing and saying it like it is and doing it in a firm and loving way. So she would give you the positives, She would also be honest with you and say, what's going on with your energy there? Why is it closing down? And being honest about it. And that's exactly where I find is helpful for my students, is to show up in that way and saying, like, I'm going to be strict with you on this. Like, go back and think about how you just said that part of the reading. Instead of questioning it, say it like a fact. So I think that's very, very important. And you have to be uncomfortable to grow. That's the biggest thing, especially with mediumship.
It's very true. And I was gonna, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, it's just one of those things. You have to, if you want to grow, you're going to be uncomfortable. You're going to feel like that feeling of, oh my gosh, I'm being called out on this part of myself in order to grow.
Yeah, and let's think about the student that we had last year that was a beginner,
Yes.
that she came into the program and she was like not even like zero confidence about mediumship.
Worked in a corporate job.
Didn't even know she wanted to join the program because she was like, I don't know if I'm good enough. Like if I'm, like, I haven't done
She was
anything
just
with this.
interested in it.
And then what ended up happening?
Oh, I remember she came in, this student, and I'm not mentioning any names, but we've had this every year that this happens, but I'm thinking of this one specific
She
student.
was a complete beginner,
I
like the
remember
beginner of the beginners.
talking to her on the phone, answering questions about the program. And she was like, I have absolutely no experience, like none at all. I was just interested in the mediumship class. So I don't know if Unlock Your Inner Medium is for me. And I'm like, well, do you have that overwhelming feeling, like you feel intrigued, like you want to learn more? And she's like, yes. And I'm like, trust that feeling. I wasn't pushing her into the program, but just letting her know, like, if you have that nudge, there's a reason for it. And also, she was like, well, I don't even know if, like, the first lesson, if I'm going to be in a group where people are going to be above me, or they're already getting signs and messages and I haven't gotten anything. I'm like, just go into the first class and see what happens. The first class, she got so much information. She's like, I felt like I was making it up, but it was detailed information about the exercise that we were doing on a past loved one. And what ended up happening was, a couple weeks in, maybe at this point, maybe it was 4 weeks in, I had them do one-on-one readings where I set them up with people that they can practice with. And of course, we prepped to this point. And someone reached out to me and she said, I was the sitter for your mediumship student. She's like, she was absolutely spot on. Like, I got so much healing from it. And that happened more than once.
And you had only prepped for like 3 weeks before that point, right?
Yeah,
it was
a short amount of time.
It was a 3-week, 4-week window between her coming in, talking
Yeah.
to you before she joined the program, and then having that impact
And
on a person within like 3 or 4 weeks.
She
From
shocked
beginner
herself.
to impacting some, like I have goosebumps when I
Yeah.
say that, like to impacting someone's lives and bringing a past loved one to them.
And this is what happens when you're in a space where you have not only the techniques, you're guided in a way to bring you to a space of seeing for yourself. Like, she didn't get stuck in her story. That's the thing. That's what I noticed, is the people that are going far fast, they're trusting the process. Even though she was nervous at the beginning about
Story
signing
comes up, you just take action anyway.
She just took action anyway. She just did everything that she was going to do. She didn't show up and say, oh, I don't know if I can do this. Like, she said that before she signed up, but when she was in the program, she was all in.
That's it.
So, and of course, there's times where, out of the 5-month mentorship, that some people are like, ooh, I'm feeling like I have one of those days where my reading wasn't as great as the other day.
Yeah.
That's very normal for mediums that have been doing it for 40 years to have that. I don't have the book with me, but I've been talking about it, and I just did a whole reel about the book with Gordon Higginson, talking about his life, saying he still got nervous before events and readings. He said that in the book.
And he had been doing it since he was like 5 years old, right?
He was
4
very
years
little.
old.
He was going with his mom to events, and he said, and I don't think this feeling will ever go away. So it's really important for people listening that are developing their mediumship skills, or they're wanting to develop their skills, to think, wow, like any new skill that you're doing or any skill that you're in, there's going to be moments that there's ebbs and flows, but you don't stay there. You don't stay low. You sign up for a class, or you get a coach that's right for you. You might be listening to this and think, that's not my style of learning. We're not the teachers for you. That's okay. I encourage you to try out different teachers too, because you're going to get a little bit of this from one teacher and a little bit of that. I really find that that's
A little
powerful.
bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of
Yeah.
this. And
So it's like getting a mix of everything to see like where do I need to go? How can I be pushed forward? But if you're not uncomfortable, most likely you're not growing at the rate that you need to be growing at.
yes. So go
So,
out, get uncomfortable, get around people that are doing what you want to do, no matter what it is. If it's
yeah.
mediumship or whatever it is, get around people that are doing it and watch what happens.
Yeah.
Things start to change. You start to see things differently. Your story and your mind starts to change because you start to hear that you're not so unique, right? The problems that you have, we all experience them, whether you're a beginner or an expert, like Lindsay was saying
Yeah.
with Gordon.
And speaking of that beginner expert, we actually have a free webinar coming up that's all about this topic where we go into more detail. And that's on June 20th. I know some of you have already signed up. This is a free webinar. It's on June 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be on Zoom and we're talking all about mediumship confidence. It doesn't matter if you're brand new to mediumship, you haven't even learned about it, or you have taken some classes, or you're an expert and you've been doing it for 30 years. This is very important that you know that. A lot of people have been reaching out asking, is this the right level for me?
That's the power, bringing in
Yeah.
all the levels together, all the unique experiences, all of this collective energy, and working together on the same mission. And you got the mastermind effect, another mind that comes in and raises all of us.
Yes. So if you want to join us, we'll put the link below so you can sign up for that. Um, what else? Anything else coming up? Our fall
The fall
mentorship.
mentorship starts in
Unlock your inner
October.
medium.
Unlock your inner
But
medium.
people are signing up now, and
Level one.
we only take a certain amount of people. So if you're wanting to join us, we're accepting students now. I've been jumping on the phone with some people, answering any last moment questions. So if you are someone that really wants to join us in fall, now is the time to sign up, because by fall we're going to be filled up.
Yes, we're going through all the applications this summer,
Yes.
contacting, curating a perfect group that's, well, the best group that we can possibly to just really do what the intention is.
Yes. So we can't wait to see you on June
Can't wait.
20th. Okay. Bye.
Romeo says bye too.